Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another unpopular opinion broadcast with me, your host. This is the platform where I give you my current opinions, unfiltered, due to the current events that are taking place. Now, I just want to go ahead and kind of start this one off a little different of a pace than I've done the ones normally, which is first by offering prayers to Bishop Jakes' family, prayers to him as well. And I am praying for a speedy recovery. But because it happened in front of the world, because this issue happened in front of the world, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the medical crisis of Bishop T.D. Jakes. At first, I was not going to do a broadcast on this, not because I didn't think he would be relevant to talk about or anything like that. It's, you know, there's an amount of respect and reverence I have for this man, along with many of people in the world that also share that same sentiment. But my reverence for him and what God has done in his life is a direct contribution to how he impacted my father's life. And, to witness a man that really has been known as a strong man, a strong leader, strong black leader, even um, in America, in a moment of great time and testing and trial, seemed powerless was very, very hard to see. You know, I would imagine it's almost the equivalent of, you know, um, not quite the equivalent, but almost the equivalent of what Simba must have felt when he saw his father Mufasa lying powerless on the ground, him as a helpless child, just wanted him to wake up. One of those things that kind of gets me every time, especially now that my father isn't here. But Bishop is definitely loved. He's definitely cared for throughout America, in spite of whatever, and not just America, really the world, but in spite of everything that has gone on regarding, allegations and stuff like that, he still has people that care about him. So, you know, my thoughts are just going to be echoing the opinions, really, of the people that love him. If you don't have proof, if you don't have anything good to say about this man, bro, now is not the time, or sis, now is not the time to be saying anything. Some of y'all on this internet talking crazy about, oh man, he knew someone was gonna come out with the Diddy trials and everything. That's why now he trying to get ahead of it. First of all, what the heck does faking a medical crisis? How does that in any way, shape, or form benefit you from standing trial or anything? Like, yeah, people can feel sorry for you, sure, but I mean, if you've done something that wrong, okay, which again, I want to say, to the extent of the allegations, people, I guess out of everything, the most atrocious thing people have said is that he's been accused of sleeping with underage boys or whatever. But again, there's no proof to this, and I've talked about this on previous broadcasts. But to think that some of y'all are sitting here rejoicing over that, rejoicing over what happened to him in a live service, was very, very, um, or is very rather uncomfortable. And my thing is this: I understand we all got to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, but I would not want to be in the shoes of some of y'all who are critics. Because see, here it is, you're criticizing a man that you don't even know. It's been speculated from the jump. It's been AI speculation. You really think that, first of all, Diddy is in jail. We got evidence, videotaped evidence of Diddy doing physical assault and all this other stuff. All right. There has not been any evidence. Somebody said, well, what about them text messages? That, man, them things wasn't, that wasn't a lick worth of evidence compared to, because that could easily be manipulated. And then the person who put it out, we don't even know the real um motive, to be honest with you, but to cause, you know strife or discord or what have you. So, but it was general text messages. Honestly, it was nothing that really. And then people nowadays really can fake a whole text messaging conversation. They can act like they're having a conversation with somebody when they really aren't. So that just doesn't hold weight. But Diddy throwing Cassidy, you know, around the hall, a hotel hallway, is that's some strong weight there. Okay. Now people say, well, we gotta wait because other stuff gonna come out. Well, my thing is this: why are we so eager to see this man fall? Why are we so eager to see? And let's just go ahead and just be very candid about this, because these are my thoughts, and this is the unpopular opinion show, right? So let me just say it how I feel. Really led to say it. Why do we feel the need so much in the black community to see our black leaders fall? Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you don't even listen to him or not. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't follow Bishop Jakes intently. I can't tell you the last sermon he preached last week, because he's not necessarily my pastor, but he has impacted my life in various ways. So I give him honor off the strength of that. But even with that, if I'm not checking in every Sunday or paying tithes to the church, I'm still not trying to be in a situation where I'm waiting for this man to fall. I'm hoping for this man to fall. Like, come on. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is ridiculous how some of these people who are either in the church or not really in the church got so much to say about a man that they don't even know. But let me just ask you something. After Bishop Jakes, who do we really have in the body of Christ that has done the? I ain't talking about your pastor. I ain't talking about the dude who, God bless him, because he playing his role. The 50 members, 100 members, whatever. He's playing his role. But who else has made the impact that Bishop Jakes has made in the body of Christ within the Western world, and has been 100% black? If we're just gonna be honest about it, who was able to pack out the Georgia Dome? See, some of these preachers, I hear a lot of eloquence and articulations, and all that stuff is cool, but when it comes to ownership, you don't really own nothing. Most of us are just kind of like, networking and all that, which is fine. Everybody plays their role. But when a guy is being used by God to impact the world at large on a scale, I'm talking about his church is as big as some of them African churches, if we just being honest with you. And he came from humble beginnings. Why is it that we are so eager to see this man fall? We might need to check our hearts, honestly, if that's what it is, what it's about. But people might say, well, no, it's just, these people, they so cricket, they so this and they so that. Let me tell you something. When Jesus walked the earth, the word says that they even accused him of casting out devils in the name of the devil. So in other words, they were basically telling him, you work for the devil and you casting these devils out. And Christ had to tell him, a house divided amongst itself cannot stand. In other words, it makes no sense for me, if I'm working for the devil, to be destroying the devil's work out here. And see, this is the thing that we got to understand. If we're going to call ourselves followers of God, whether you go to church or you don't go to church, whatever, a house divided against itself can't stand, man. That could have been your daddy up there, your uncle, your grandfather that had a stroke in a live service. Like, just be mindful of what you say, is my point, because while you busy sitting here making comical jokes talking about people getting swallowed and all that, man, the dude is still, first of all, a man, but he's also a man that's loved and cared for by a lot of people. A lot of people. And I hear people say, man, well, it's so hard, man. These false prophets, man, so hard to feel sorry for them. Well, let me ask you something. Would it be hard to feel sorry for you if something happened to you? What makes you any different? See, people want to sit here and judge what a man of the cloth is doing, but not being real about they things and what they got going on. See, your business just didn't come to the forefront. Or if it did come to the forefront by people that know you, you playing that down because you just got an issue with Jakes. You thinking he just wants people's money and all this other stuff. And I can't speak to his character behind the scenes. But what I can speak to is the amount of help, encouragement that he's given people all over the years. And I can speak to the positive impacts that he's had. And even with this, I know I started out by saying how tough it was to watch a person that was strong and revered and all that go through what Bishop went through on live during the live streaming of his service for the world to see, really. But I will acknowledge that there was a certain strength he had to not even fall, because his body, you could tell his body wanted to fall, but he, was able to hold himself up, and even as he was twitching, was still able to gather himself. And I believe he's understanding here to a degree that, hey, I'm in front of these people. They look at me as a leader. I still have to be strong for them, and you're doing that while at the same time still battling within yourself. And so shout out to the people that were there, that was on it, that looked out for him, that were very, very proactive in the whole approach of making sure that he was cared for. But um, this ain't the time to be rejoicing, y'all. This ain't the time to be rejoicing and talking about how God pouring out his right, because you don't know what God doing. Some of you, I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's hard for people to sit here and be overly critical of somebody. In my opinion, it's hard for them to do it when they're being honest with themselves and where they're at. You should be worried first and foremost about what you got going on, your relationship with the Lord, and how all that's going to work out, as opposed to criticizing this man for some allegations that you don't even know if they true or not. You going off of what you heard in the AI video. Oh, well, we know he was at the party because they got a photo of him at the party. Okay, a photo in the day. What about some of your photos we got of you at night? Come on, man. Cray, Lecrae, a famous Christian hip hop artist, he's been to Diddy parties. He said he wasn't partaking in none of that stuff. Now he said he knew that there was a certain point that he had to leave, because they told him, say, hey, man, you might want to get up out of here because things about to take a turn. Who's to say Bishop Jakes wasn't given that same send off whenever he attended? You see, there's always going to be people that are going to be overly critical of great leaders, specifically great black leaders. But this is the thing: whether we agree with them or not, 100%, we still need to honor these people, because they 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 set the tone for a new way. I mean, because you got to think about it. Before Bishop, yes, you had influential black leaders and stuff like that, People like a Dr. King or Malcolm, or even within the church world, though you have to kind of turn the hands of time. You could argue Bishop Pearson at one point was that, but due to things that happened later on in life, he kind of removed himself from that position, and it just you need to honor these people, man, because there's so much weight that they've carried, and you know, I labeled this broadcast as Bishop Jakes' medical crisis, TD Jakes, not medical crisis, but Bishop TD Jakes' crisis. Um, at first, I was reluctant to use the word crisis because I'm thinking, man, this could have just been a health scare. Even though I believe personally, this isn't the first time that something, maybe not of this magnitude, but something along the lines of health concerns have happened. That's just my thoughts, but I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't the first time. But I'm using the word crisis specifically because I felt impressed to use the word crisis, and I was wondering, like, man, well, why am I using this word crisis? Like, and I got to thinking, and I did, just a little bit of research, and that word has several meanings, but one of the meanings I believe is applicable to this situation is going to be the meaning of crisis in regards to when an important or difficult decision has to be made. Um, you you gotta look now. If you're Bishop Jakes, if you're the Potter's House, and all this other stuff, you gotta start reevaluating and sharpening the succession plan. Not because you're expecting Bishop to go anytime soon, but it's kind of like this. We all revere our heroes. We don't ever think our heroes are going to die. But at some point, because they're human, unless Christ comes back, they will. They will. And that's, again, that's for people that believe in the rapture and stuff like that, right? Some people don't, and that's on you. I don't subscribe to people that don't believe in that, but that's just my personal beliefs. Anyway, um, yeah, Bishop, like us all, will go out by way of the grave unless the catching away is imminent, in fact. But this is the thing. What happens after you're gone? What happens to the Potter house? What happens to these people that you've impacted? Okay. What happens to that that light that we have in the body of Christ? It needs to be handled with care. It needs to be handled with care because there's been already so much sacrifice that has went into it being what it is. And it would be a travesty, an absolute travesty, if after Bishop Jakes dies, the whole empire that he built, that he's given his life to, that his family has profited off of, and has cultivated over the years, and has blessed millions upon millions of people around the world. It'd be a shame if that just crumbled. That's what we don't need to let happen. But see, I know people right now, they licking their lips, they rubbing their hands together, they trying to get their piece of the pie, quote unquote, trying to solidify their place. Man probably didn't, been all, you know, in the hospital bed all day, and people probably talking behind the scenes. It's, I could see it like a little episode of Greenleaf or whatever. Folk trying to figure out, okay, what we gonna do? How we gonna handle this? You know, who gonna tell them to make this adjustment, make that adjustment, da da da. Who gonna be the one? But by the same token, I would encourage the family, the people that got the the real say so on how things go, to really revisit that succession plan and start putting the people in position to smoothly take that thing over, as opposed to it being an abrupt end. Because unfortunately, man, people are greedy, and these things can go very bad very quickly. Now, while he has hundreds of capable preachers that could probably preach in his stead, I would encourage, and this is just my opinion, what you don't want to do is continue to kind of do what New Birth did, right? You're gonna bring in another big name preacher or whatever. Because and I get they did that because they're dealing with, not only did they have their own scandal and stuff, but they got, I think it's 30 million in debt they're trying to cover. So they may feel like we need to have a name here who's going to draw people, but more than 90% of the time, anytime these boards have done that, it has worked very negatively for that church. I've seen it happen multiple times where, the titan, the leader, he goes and they try to bring in another big name, and then they kick out the family, and the family of the deceased titan or general, and now it's like, that church begins to dwindle. Okay. And there's a specific church I'm thinking of right now, out in Orlando, that is blatantly obviously what happened, but it's not the only one. It's not the only one. So I would hope that they're looking at somebody young. I know he has a daughter that's in ministry with her husband, and if they are in fact the ones to take the reins, then they need to be doing more of the preaching. In my opinion, they need to be doing more of that. It doesn't mean that Bishop can't do it. Maybe, you know some virtual services or what have you, or you know very um, very minimal type preaching. And I'm hesitant as I say that because I know, coming from that world, that preaching it's like, it's the life. It's gonna be hard for for a legit preacher to stop preaching. Like, man, it is. It's like asking a man not to drink water, or a fish to not swim in water. Like, it is hard, man. Um, but I would try to champion, if I'm him, just different avenues, because see what we can't have happen in the body. We need that stability, man. We gotta have something we can look at and think, okay, yeah, that's some stability going on. Now, some people may not agree with that. You may say you don't like Jakes. I don't listen to him anyway. I just say, okay, well then you just log off. You just go on about your business, because there you gotta understand there's a bigger thing here at play than just how you feel about somebody. Because I'm gonna just be honest with y'all, some of these people y'all be following, they wouldn't even be able to withstand the pressure, yet alone be able to handle it with half the tactfulness as Bishop has handled it over the years. I'm talking about, man, like, prior to this, you just didn't like the man, right? If you had an issue with him, it wasn't like a huge scandal or whatever that happened. But now, of course, because of the whole Diddy situation, people feel so empowered and so engulfed to say, hey, this and that. But man, this is just sad to even witness in real time, especially given everything that's been going on in Texas the past few days, past few weeks rather. But a lot of stuff happened in Texas, even these past few days, that I haven't even covered yet. Um, that I can cover, but I just really want to um, wrap this one up by encouraging people, man, to if this man has had any positive impact on your life, or if the you know out of respect for the people he has impacted positively. If you're saying you're not one of them, send up prayers. Send up genuine prayers, thoughts, concerns to God on behalf of Bishop Jakes, the well-being of his family, and the well-being of that ministry. Because it doesn't profit nobody to see it crumble and fall. Somebody may say, "Well, I'll be fine either way." Okay, then go ahead. Just 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 go ahead with your bitter behind. Just take your bitter self on somewhere. I'm so sick of dealing with people who they just mad at the world. Everybody false. There's nobody real. They're the last one standing. If you ain't careful, man, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. That's all I'm gonna say. Because ain't none of y'all God. None of you. And that's just being real. People say, "Oh, we must have hurt your pastor." He ain't my pastor. He's somebody I respect, but he ain't and understand that, man, you don't just be talking slick and crazy about people. See, there's people that I don't even agree with from a theological standpoint. I can't bear to sit down and watch them and listen to them and stuff like that. But I'll be dogged if I sit here and continue to come on live and try to criticize them, calling them out by name, saying all type of false accusations without no type of proof. That is stupid. That is just stupid. And then come time something like this happen, and people may say, "Well, think about it. What are the odds? What are this? What are that?" The man is old. Okay, he's old, and yes, he's not unfortunately in the greatest health. From what it looks like, and it's been that way for years. I've always wondered that. I was like, "Yo, man, he's had that. Some people call it the preaching belly or whatever." But I'm like, "Man, you've been kind of big for years, Bishop. Like what?" And to see him still sustained was like, wow, okay. But I would imagine as time goes on, that catches up with you. It catches up with you. So there's just a lot of things that play there that um, you know, everybody's highlighting. Some people are talking about, how black people need to take care of themselves, which is true. I think that black men, we got to do better with that for sure. But my thing is I wanted to come on here and kind of dismantle some of the noise and rebuke some of the things that are being said about a man that has, really done some good things for the world at large, man, yet alone the body of Christ. So, whatever you feel like he doing wrong or whatever, you leave that in the hands of God. Like that ain't your place to be sitting here, quote unquote, rejoicing on a man's downfall or a difficult trial. Like just leave that in the hands of God. But as far as the Potter's house goes, to the board, you know, some of y'all may be on that board, may be ambitious, may be cricket. But I'm just telling you, for the sake of the people, don't be feeding them no other superstar preacher after Jake's gone. If anything, get with him and really get down there and say, this is who we want to take the reins after he gone. If it's gonna be his daughter and the son-in-law, that's who it need to be. And we can go ahead and start putting the wheels into motion. But don't bring no other superstar up enough thinking it's gonna be well, because the way that pulpit is already set, it gotta be, cause see, Potter's house got his own DNA. Every church really got its own DNA, but they need somebody who understands that. They don't need nobody else who gonna come up in there and just yeah, because that's how membership is going to dwindle. And don't let none of these bloggers fool you or whatever, man. Like, unless you actually go to the church, you don't know who up in there. Like that church did not seem empty to me. It did not seem empty at all. But I mean, hey, what do I know? I'm just a common parishioner or viewer like the rest of y'all, man. But look, I'll wrap that up by saying, again, pray for Jakes, man. Pray for the bishop and what he's got going on. And these are just my thoughts. If you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody in your inner circle. connect with me on other platforms. Until next time, I'll talk to you.